This is All India Radio. In Spotlight tonight, we bring you a special program on Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh Liberation War in light of President Ram Nath Kovind's visit to Bangladesh. India and Bangladesh share bonds of history, language, culture, and a multitude of other commonalities. The excellent bilateral ties reflect an all-encompassing partnership based on sovereignty, equality, trust, and understanding that goes far beyond a strategic partnership. The year 2020, despite the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, witnessed intense high-level engagements at political and official levels. The year 2021 holds a special significance in the relations between India and Bangladesh. The year commemorates the confluence of three major events in the life of Bangladesh and its friendship with India. The Triveni of celebrations include the Golden Jubilee of the Independence of Bangladesh, the birth centenary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and 50 years of the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Bangladesh. Earlier this year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid a state visit to Bangladesh to kick off this Triveni of celebrations. On his visit, Prime Minister Modi recalled the supreme sacrifice of blood that the soldiers of Bangladesh and India made during the Liberation War of Bangladesh. Prime Minister Modi referred to the lines from Govind Haldar's evocative poem. The poem is an ode to the sacrifice of the Mukti Yodhas, and the lines mean that we will never forget those who liberated Bangladesh with the ocean of their blood.
यहाँ पाकिस्तान की सेना ने जो जघन्य अपराध और अत्याचार किए, वो तस्वीरें विचलित करती थी। कई दिन तक सोने नहीं देती। गोविंद हल्दर जी ने कहा था, एक सागोर রক্তের বিনিময়ে বাংলার স্বাধীনতা আনলে যারা আমরা তোমাদের ভুলবো না আমরা তোমাদের ভুলবো না।
In continuation of the bilateral engagement between the two neighbors at the highest level, India's President Ram Nath Kovind embarked on a visit to Bangladesh this morning. Ahead of his visit, in a special briefing, Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla on Tuesday asserted that Bangladesh holds a special place in India's foreign policy as the central pillar of India's Neighbourhood First policy.
Bangladesh is a central pillar of our Neighbourhood First policy. It is also a relationship where this policy intersects with elements of our Act East policy. As I mentioned earlier this year, in March, Honourable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji paid a state visit to Bangladesh to join the Triveni of celebrations of the Golden Jubilee of the Independence of Bangladesh, the birth centenary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and 50 years of the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Bangladesh. This was preceded by a visit by the Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to Dhaka on the 4th of March 2021, and the virtual summit on 17th December 2020 between the two Prime Ministers.
President Ram Nath Kovind arrived in Bangladesh for his 3-day state visit in the morning today. He was welcomed at the airport by the President of Bangladesh, Mohammad Abdul Hamid. Our Dhaka correspondent, Rajesh Jha, describes the happenings on President Kovind's first day of the visit.
He was given a ceremonial guard of honor at the airport on arrival. President Kovind proceeded to the National Martyrs Memorial at Savar from the airport itself to pay tributes to the martyrs of the 1971 Liberation War. He planted a sapling and signed a visitor's book at the Martyrs Memorial in Savar. The President visited the Bangabandhu Memorial Museum to pay his respects to Bangladesh Father of Nation Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Tomorrow, on the occasion of the Victory Day, President Kovind will participate in the celebration of the Golden Jubilee of the Independence of Bangladesh and the birth centenary year of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman as the guest of honor. On this occasion, a 122-member tri-services contingent from the Indian Armed Forces will also participate in the parade. President Kovind is scheduled to meet the Liberation War fighters of Bangladesh called Mukti Yodhas as well as Indian veterans during the 3-day visit to Bangladesh. He will also be interacting with a cross-section of Bangladeshi society and visit places of cultural and historical importance in Dhaka before returning back to India on December 17th.
The 16th of December is a special day in world history. On this date in 1971,
the Pakistani army surrendered to the Indian army in Dhaka. Liberation War fighter Captain Shahabuddin was involved in bombing places in Dhaka during the war. He remembers 16th December 1971 when Pakistani General Niazi surrendered before the Indian Armed Forces.
Finally, army was totally underconfident and surrendered to Indian army. So that was 16th of December 1971. In the morning, our Chief of Staff, General Osmani, we took him to Kumilla from Agartala and came back in the afternoon, and we got the information that Pakistan is ready for surrender. Now we proceeded to Dhaka with our helicopter, and we landed at Tesga Airport after 9 months. And General Arora, he came with surrendered Pakistani General Niazi to airport, and we met them. And our country was free. And this was because of with the help of the Indian government, especially the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and the people of India.
Freedom fighter Firdaus Kamaluddin Mahmud, Tipu, who fought as Group Commander Sector 2 during the Liberation War of Bangladesh in 1971, walks us through those heady moments on 16th of December 1971 when the streets of Bangladesh were full of jubilant freedom fighters celebrating a hard-fought victory.
So after the liberation on 16 December in the evening, around 4:30, so we cannot observe the actual place of surrender. So we went back to our base camp near the Dhaka city, and we opened fire in the sky, and all the freedom fighters was crying. They're lying in the road, and their family was destroyed, their relations was destroyed, and it was unbelievable. We did not expect that we will be free so soon, but it was done because of Indian help, Indian Army's help, and it was so joy. All our freedom fighters was crying, and they are crawling in the road with the joy, and it was lovely memory till death. I cannot forget that moment.
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said that the victory in the 1971 Bangladesh war against Pakistan was the triumph of justice over injustice. Former personnel of the Indian Defence Forces echoed the Defence Minister's sentiments. Retired General Shankar Roy Chaudhary, former Chief of Army Staff of the Indian Army, lauded the role of the armed forces to defeat Pakistan.
We in the Indian forces, the Indian Army, we are naturally very, very thrilled that our efforts in 1971, apart from the actual warfare, we succeeded in creating the foundation of a Bangladesh army which worked with the Indian Army to ultimately defeat the Pakistanis in then East Pakistan. And the fact that we could succeed in breaking Pakistan in two was a matter of great satisfaction to all of us who were in the army at that time. And I think it is of great satisfaction to those of us who are in the Indian Defence Forces, Indian Army, Navy, Air Force to this day.
Wing Commander Shomir Chaudhary of the Indian Air Force shared his role as a transport pilot during the war.
I can say from my experience as a transport pilot that the Mukti Yodhas were actually involved in aiding our armed forces on the ground. From the air, my job was on 26th of March, immediately after Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared unilateral independence. I was with one aircraft, a transport aircraft, positioned in Damdam Airport, to make sure that the Mukti Yodhas had all the arms, ammunitions, and whatever else they needed for fighting their war. So I was to only carry them, the material from Damdam Airport right up to Bagdogra or Guwahati or Agartala. And this support that I gave them from the air was all the time right up to from March 71 right up to the outbreak of hostilities in December of 71. One example that I have of the support I had to give them was I got an urgent call to carry out casualty evacuation of Major Khalek Musharraf, then the sector commander in the Delta sector, and I flew him out from Agartala all the way to Lucknow, where our military hospital carried out brain surgery because he had a shrapnel of a grenade in his brain. He later on became okay and was able to fight in the war. Later he became a major general, but along with Mujibur Rahman, he was also purged when the uprising took place in Bangladesh. Another example was when I was asked to carry limpet mines, which are generally prohibited to be carried in an aircraft, all the way to Agartala. I took 5 tons of it and handed it over to the Mukti Bahinis. And with that, they were able to successfully, with guidance from our naval friends, to blockade Chittagong Harbour and blow up their ships in the Chittagong Harbour, which aided the war effort to a very large extent. In military history, I am not able to recollect any similar case where an armed forces of a country has aided the independence or the struggle for independence of a neighboring country. I have also got this confirmed. We cannot find any parallel to this extent, but this I can say from my colleagues in the army and all, that they were entirely supported by the Mukti Yoddhas. In fact, one of my Bengali course-mates even had infiltrated into Bangladesh months before the war started in a lungi, and he was part of them, giving them guidance, what to do, what is to be done, and sending that vital information to us.
India was the first country to establish diplomatic relations with Bangladesh. 10 days before Bangladesh's emphatic victory over Pakistan, India recognized the fledgling nation. The Maitri Divas, or Friendship Day, commemorates the recognition granted by India to Bangladesh on 6th of December 1971. Speaking on the celebration of Maitri Divas this year, India's Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla said that it was celebrated at capitals all over the world.
India and Bangladesh jointly commemorated Maitri Divas a week ago on 6th of December. This commemorates the day when India recognized Bangladesh as an independent country. It was jointly celebrated in New Delhi and Dhaka, but also in capitals all over the world. Prime Ministers of India and Bangladesh both issued special messages on this occasion. The visit of our President provides an opportunity to renew our bonds based on a shared geographical space, shared heritage, a shared history, and the shared experience of our support for Bangladesh during its war of liberation. It is also an occasion to take note of the breadth, depth, vitality, and dynamism of contemporary ties. It is today a relationship that is based on a similar economic journey, similar aspirations, similar developmental experiences, and a growing friendship and contact between our two peoples.
India has been steadfast in its commitment and support to its friendship with Bangladesh. Forged by the blood of sacrifice that flowed through the river Padma during its birth, the relationship is based on similarities in our economic journey, aspirations, developmental experiences, and a growing friendship and contact between our two peoples. President Ram Nath Kovind's visit to Bangladesh will serve as a harbinger of an ever-growing friendship underpinned by common sacrifice, common struggle, shared culture, and physical and emotional proximity between the two nations, and will take it to new heights.
You were listening to a special program on Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh Liberation War in light of President Ram Nath Kovind's visit to Bangladesh. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.